GF cheated on me with a guy, and then she mocks me behind my back. Later, her father begged me not to ruin her future by exposing the truth, but I did. This happened while I was in a romantic relationship with my girlfriend. I come from a family where my mother cheated before, so I'm really triggered by it. After I found out, I feel sick, and whenever I think about it, I feel my heart racing. I don't know what to do. We were together for 7 months. I found out that she was cheating emotionally and physically for the last 6 months. I don't know what to do. Relevant comment: well, you get rid of her, of course. But the one positive thing you can do now is to examine what was about her that made her cheat so easily. What are her traits that would make her a cheater, so that you can recognize them next time and not get involved with a girl like this again? List them all out here now, and the contributors can comment on it. Us non-cheaters need to identify the people to stay away from, which helps you for next time and helps us. It has been a hard couple of years. My dad's business went bankrupt, lost the house and everything. We are working hard to rebuild everything. I have been working hard for my family. I didn't have time to meet up every day, but I made a point to talk and video call her. She told me that she understands my problems and supported me. I was so happy that she understands me, but now this feels like a punch in the gut. Update: thanks for all the advice in the comments. It helped a lot. So, I called her last night and confronted her about everything. At first, she denied everything, but when I told her that my friend saw them together at a restaurant, kissing, she just hung up and blocked me, even before I could ask her why she did it. I reached out to our mutual friends about everything. So the guy is actually her ex-boyfriend. Everything is so heartbreaking for me. I don't know if I can trust someone again. I just don't want to date anymore. I tried reaching out to by text and install for some closure, but it seems that she has blocked me on everything. Update: I blocked her and most of my friends after everything that happened. Most of my close friends are out of state now for work or studies, but they still did a group video call and helped me with everything. One of my friends was dating a girl who is friends with my ex-girlfriend. He offered to find out what really happened, but I told him not to bother. So now, to today, it is my birthday. I don't like celebrating my birthday. It's something that happened years ago. So normally, I have an early lunch with my friends and a small dinner party with my parents and close friends and family. I got a call from my friend who gathered all the details about the affair, and the story that she told everyone was basically this. She was angry with her boyfriend who was in Europe for a couple of months for an internship, so they broke up. I started dating her soon after, and she was using me to make him feel jealous when he came back. They got together, and he really didn't mind her dating me, as he was also dating someone else on the side. I feel like an idiot for not seeing any of this. After me finding out, she's starting telling everyone about our bedroom life. She is telling everyone that I am not as good as her boyfriend and that I was not able to satisfy her, etc. I need a break from everything. I thanked my friend for everything and told him not to tell me about her anymore. I feel really insecure about my size, and I told her about this when we started dating. I tried to compensate by going down on her in other ways, but now, with her telling everyone, I feel like an idiot. Please tell me what to do. Some relevant comments: don't give a F about what she said. She is just doing a rant for being caught and being dumped. So now she wants to redirect the issue to you being unable to satisfy her. She doesn't want to be the only one with a tag, and she is trying to hit where it hurts, and that is your insecurities. So don't give a F what she says, or just tell her, well, you never complained in bed. But it seems this is your last fight to justify being a cheating POS. I asked the friends that you blocked whether they were your mutuals, or which ones were also blocked. I hope you blocked your friend of 10 years who knew for months and didn't tell you, just for his girlfriend. He is not a friend of yours. He is too much of a POS. Just tell him before blocking that you hope his girlfriend doesn't do the same and that others don't tell him. You also hope he has good friends unlike you to tell him in time, because if his girlfriend knew and covered for him, he knows what kind of girl she is. I blocked him, and he tried to contact me, but I have gone no contact with most of my friends. Some were mutual friends, but most of the friends I knew for years. I don't use social media much. I have Facebook and Instagram, but I don't post anything. I only use them to be in touch with everyone. This has been an issue with my ex and my friends, as they see it as antisocial, but I just don't like it. I am an introvert, whereas she liked to go clubbing and stuff. I accompanied her whenever I could. Some of my friends say that I might have been spending time or been more active with her, which led to this situation. Anyway, you can send anything you have of her messages, photos, letters, whatever, to all her friends, work, and family to teach her a lesson. Her parents are close to me. Her mother and I have a good relationship as we both are book nerds. We share books that we like, and sometimes I would also go with her book club. I told her about what happened, and she was very sorry and wished to meet up, but I declined and asked to be left alone and told her not to contact me again. Updates. I just looked at a couple of gyms in the area, planning to join and get back in shape. I told my ex-girlfriend's mother everything that happened. We were really close, but I haven't been able to sleep properly for a couple of days since I found out. I keep dreaming about her and the guy, trying to forget everything, but it is bad. Some background. This is my second relationship, and the first one also ended badly as I was going through a bad patch. My parents were constantly fighting about my mom's problems. She cheated a couple of times, but my dad always took her back. This recent incident has made it tough for me to trust people and to consider having a relationship. Will I ever be able to trust my future partners? Update I follow. The advice that I got from everyone here led me to distance myself from her and her friends yesterday. Her father called me and wanted to meet up and talk, but I shut him down and blocked his number. I went out with an old friend for drinks earlier today and met her father and my friend near home an hour ago. He wanted to talk, and I didn't want to make a scene, so I decided to hear him out. He didn't want me to make the matter a big deal, as it would affect her reputation. I just started to laugh at him. I know if it was the vodka or the smoke. I unloaded everything that I had been holding back. He just stood there and listened to everything that I had to say. He told me that he was sorry for everything and to move on. He begged me not to tell my aunt about it. I asked him what he was talking about. It turns out she is trying to get a scholarship and a research assistant job at the university where my aunt is a professor. They are afraid that I might take her chance to get in. I told him to think about it. Now that I know, I'm tempted to ask my aunt not to give her the opportunity. Will I be an idiot if I do this? Please tell me what to do. I really want to hurt her. Edit. I had a fight with my parents about telling my aunt everything. They told me to let everything go and to forgive her. I left the house and went no contact with them. I don't know why they can't see this from my side. I am hurt, and they don't care. Relevant comment. It seems really odd he would bring up the aunt and the scholarship things and then beg you not to tell her. Like that wouldn't even be a thought for you to do until he said that. So does he want you to tell the aunt? I think the reason why he came to me was that yesterday my aunt invited my mom and me to breakfast. There is this new cafe where they are making this great full English breakfast. My mom and aunt posted pictures of our breakfast. They are close to each other. She was in the Air Force before, and I used to babysit her kids. I don't know why he told me this. Last update. This will be my last update. I have already booked my flight for going to another state in the South. I am moving in with an old friend who is helping me look for a job there. So, after meeting with her father, I sat down with my parents and told them everything that happened. They were very sympathetic to everything. My mom took it very hard at first, but when I told her that I want to tell my aunt everything, she told me that she didn't want me to tell her family about anything about my relationship and breakup. She wants to keep it between us. I didn't know what to say. I told her that I was meeting my aunt for dinner on Saturday. She wanted me to cancel it. My father didn't say anything the entire time. I think my mom doesn't want her family to think about her past, but I am hurting. I am staying with a college friend for now. I just want to stay away from everything. I have blocked my parents. I called my aunt and told her everything about my ex-girlfriend. It is up to her to decide. My dad called from his friend's cell and wanted to meet up. I met him yesterday. He gave me some money and wanted to keep in contact with me. He told me that he loves my mom and he forgave her, but it doesn't mean that I have to take him as an example. I felt relieved to some extent. I just wanted to get away from this mess. My friend promised me that he will arrange a decent job for me there. So, bye guys, and thanks for everything. I am deleting all my social media apps for some time in the future. I don't want to know what's happening with her. I have a flight booked for Friday. I hope everything works out fine. Some comments. This doesn't really seem believable. How would her dad even know about your aunt and then track you down to bring up not telling your aunt? And what kind of professional would make it obvious that they're holding grudges against applicants? That's just asking to lose your position and open the school up to potential lawsuits when somebody reports a complaint that the scholarship and admissions process was unfair and biased because of a personal relationship that is unrelated to the school itself and somebody's qualifications. Also, just because she's a professor at the university doesn't mean she's in charge of admissions. So, how would that make her less likely to get in? I'm failing to see how these two things are at all related and why anyone would expect this to impact her education. No academic institution is going to take this seriously. And I don't understand what anyone would be expecting your aunt to do in this scenario. If she's professional and cares about her job, then she would tell you that she's sorry that happened and leave it at that. My aunt is a part-time professor at the university. The reason why she can decide who to take on as her RA is that the research is being sponsored by a company which has developed a new machine for brain scanning, and my aunt helped write the software for it. They are willing to cooperate with the university because of my aunt, so she can decide who she wants as her RA. I am not asking her to be biased towards my ex. It's up to her to decide what she wants to do. Yeah, I'm just not understanding why her father or anyone would have not just known but thought that you would even make that connection and bring it up, or that she would be unprofessional enough to use it against her when it has nothing to do with her qualifications and could get her into serious trouble if she actually did that. If anything, I think the aunt would be more worried than the ex in this situation because this now opens up the door to a complaint, even if she doesn't factor in what you've told her and chooses somebody else for a different reason. It's kind of just unfairly messy for her when this had nothing to do with her, and it probably would have been better to not say anything right now for her sake. Because if the ex's family already thinks that she's going to lose the opportunity over this, then they are significantly more likely to complain and make a report against your aunt for unfair bias regarding her personal relationships. If a report is filed and she gets asked by her employer about the situation, she's now going to have to include that you did reach out and inform her of what happened and that your ex would be applying. I think it might have to do with my history with my aunt and her husband. So, a bit of background. My aunt, while studying in college, fell in love with her husband, who was her professor. Her family was against this, but my mom supported her and let her stay in our house for a while. So, I am really close to her. I am working and thinking about doing a master's. I was planning to apply to her college as it is near. I told my ex about this, and I think she might have made the connection between us. I will be talking to my aunt about what you said to make sure that she is pulled into this mess because of me. Thanks story to I've been a long-time poster on a different account, mainly regarding reconciliation and healing. But my wife and I share all social media, and I'm looking for a different perspective. I've been waffling back and forth on what I want to do. One minute I'm set on divorce, the next minute I convince myself otherwise. I'll write a post, take it down, then write it again. I'm pretty much a complete disaster. Sincere apologies for the length of this, and I can include backstory if necessary. But my wife, 36, female, and I, 38, male, have now been married for 13 years. We have 2 kids, 9-year-old male and 7-year-old female. She had an affair, both emotional and physical, with a coworker about 5 years ago, which lasted about 6 months. I stayed because our kids were so young, and my wife was deeply remorseful, begging to reconcile. She cut off contact with the affair partner, left her former place of employment. We started marriage counseling, and we've both been seeing a therapist of our own. She's been very patient and understanding with me over the years, not just in the short term, but even now as far as reconciliation goes. I guess she's been as good as a betrayed partner can ask for. She's really invested in being a better person and understanding what led her to the betrayal. Given all of the horror stories that many wayward spouses put their betrayed through, I can't complain, given that this is the path I've chosen. Recently, I've been commenting on this, but I've tried and tried. In MC, marriage counseling, in meetings with my own therapist over the years, I've read books and been seeking support online. As aforementioned, I've done everything I can find, both online and in person, to help me recover. But I just don't feel the same about my wife. I haven't since the day I found out about the affair. I haven't been honest about this with my wife because I don't want to hurt her. I always reassure her and say the right things because I just don't want her to feel the pain that I feel. I know it's pathetic. Early on in the reconciliation process, we both were taking the correct steps and making progress, I suppose. But she was overwhelmed by guilt as time went on. I, on the other hand, just kept having such a hard time with the affair. I'd continue to try and express my true feelings to my wife, but she started to break down, sometimes shut down, have these emotional panic attacks, sobbing, apologizing, then sobbing again. It just became too much, so I kind of stopped expressing, pressing my hurt a few years back. I actually felt guilty continually talking about my pain, and I guess I just naively thought feelings would come back, and eventually, all would be great again. Much of what I kept reading and hearing was to just give it time. But there's no promise that any joy or normalcy will return. And now, I'm reaching the point where I finally realize that it never will. I can't look at her the same. I can't hold her or kiss her the same way. It just hurts my soul. Everything feels stained or ruined. These feelings were strong when I learned of the affair, then slightly faded as we threw ourselves into our very young kids at the time. Some hysterical bonding occurred, of course. But recently, in the past couple of years, my pain and anguish have grown back stronger and stronger. I went through such a long period of self-hate, of blaming myself, losing any and all self-confidence. Depression grew and grew in thinking about it. I suppose not much has changed, really. I'm still in that head space a lot of the time, but I was continually told that the faults, the problems, were my wife's and not my own, that she was the broken one. Well, you could tell me that 10 million times, and it's not going to make me feel any less miserable. She chose him and only came back to me after getting caught. That's what runs through my head constantly, regardless of what she says. My therapist insists I'm doing all of the right things, but I just feel that my path to happiness might mean divorcing my wife and moving on. I fully understand that she chooses to be with me now, but will I ever know her true motivations for that? She could be lying to me and staying so as not to hurt me further, maybe just to keep our family together. Maybe she still privately longs for this other man, and she could be telling the truth. It destroys me to not know. Yes, she's with me now, but does she want to be? I mean, to her, she probably believes that I'm healing, that I'm returning to my old self, and that I choose her again too. But she doesn't know my inner truth either. I suppose this could be the case whether there's an affair or not. Maybe I'm just in my own head as usual. I hate what her affair has done to the peace of our marriage. I hate it with every fiber of my being. I love my wife, but she hurt me so deeply and so painfully. It just festers so often. I want to be happy, but I want her to be happy too. A while back, she asked me if I'll ever treat her the way I used to, and I tiptoed around my answer, lying again to protect her from the same pain she caused me. But if I'm being 100% honest with myself and with my wife, the answer to that question is, and has been, undoubtedly no. I won't ever treat her the same way again because she's not the same person to me any longer. That's not fair to either one of us, right? Intimacy has never been the same. It takes everything in me to not constantly imagine her with the other man. The things she did, said, the sounds she'd make, things maybe she did for him but not me, conversations they had, things she said about me, etc. It's horribly haunting. I lose my erection at times, which is so incredibly embarrassing. This, in turn, just sends me back into the mental gymnastics. I'm sure her affair partner never had issues. He was better than me in that way, which probably keeps her longing for him. Man, everything I read insisted therapy would help with this, but it never has. I keep thinking I can just continue the facade and let her believe I'm fine, but I really can't do this. It's not fair to anyone. I have to face reality. Time isn't making things better. It's only getting worse. I thought I was doing the right thing by staying, by trying to work through things, but I realize now I'm throwing away so much of my own soul and damaging my kids' and wife's happiness along the way. I can't be the person that I used to be around my wife. I've tried for years now, and I know it's going to get worse, not better. So, has anyone tried to reconcile, but divorce years later? Was it the right move? Are you happier now? How did the kids handle it? I'm just scared either way. I hardly get a full night's sleep since her affair. I can probably count them all on one hand in the past few years. I just can't find peace. I'm losing myself, piece by piece, and I need help. I need a release. It just always hurts, but I'm so afraid of ending my marriage, so I just grin and bear it day after day. My wife has put in a ton of work to remedy this and fix what's broken in her, but she's the one that destroyed me. Why am I enduring this to protect her? I don't know. I'm just so scared of what divorce will do to all of us. Naturally, it's my kids' futures that has me constantly second-guessing everything. I just need to hear that we'll be okay. I would prefer to hear from people who have reconciled or have had failed reconciliations, but any advice is welcome. Thanks in advance for some comments. Yep, I stayed for a myriad of reasons, but I think mostly out of fear. Then we ended up having another child, so I continued to stay. However, about 10 years post the affair, I ended it. I really never gained back the love I had for him. Resentment built, and by the end, he disgusted me. My children were 8 and 14, but leaving was the absolute best decision for all three of us. This is my greatest fear and what's haunting me most right now. If I continue to stay, 5 years will turn into 10 years, and my feelings for her will only fade further. It's encouraging to hear that leaving turned out well for everyone involved. The more I waffle, the more I know I need to leave. It's going to crush my wife beyond belief, but I fear it has to be done. How did you find out about the affair? Did she tell you? Or did you find out? Could this be the issue that causes a lot of your grief? If you are unhappy, then you need to build a new life without your wife. Or maybe have a trial separation with minimal contact to see how you feel once you have separated for a while. I found out total accident was a catalyst. She was on her laptop and needed some code that was texted to her phone. So, I had to check her texts and got it for her. That's when I saw her conversations with a coworker. This is a huge part of my grief. Certainly, we had extensive conversations about this in therapy too. Questions like, would you still be cheating had I not caught you? You know those types of conversations. I don't want to rehash it all now. I guess it doesn't matter. The truth is, I am unhappy. But a trial separation isn't a terrible idea. I do have this tiny shred of hope that I can keep our family together. I just think it's for the wrong reasons. I feel like I need to be in love with her, not just staying because of our family. I'm honestly such a mess in the aftermath of finding out about her affair. Were you ever separated from her and had a time where you were on your own without her being near you? Yes, briefly, for about 9 or 10 days. The first couple of days after D-Day were obviously chaos. We talked a lot. I asked my questions, and we both cried a ton. She begged, pleaded, and apologized. Then, I asked her to stay with her parents. A lot happened over those brief 9 to 10 days. She confessed her affair to both my family and hers without my prompting. So, even though she was giving me space, I was being bombarded by her parents and my parents almost daily with updates. I almost feel guilty posting this. The first days of this week have been very painful. So many tears, very hard conversations. Trying to explain to the kids takes every ounce of energy that I have. To not comfort my wife and tell her everything is going to be okay is difficult, but doing so would only hurt both of us far worse in the long run. And I know that now. My wife had an affair 5 years ago, and we've been reconciling, but Sunday night, I sat her down and just unloaded my every vice, every pain, everything that's built up over the past couple of years. My previous post explains where we met. It took me that entire day to get the courage up to talk about these things. I was actually convincing myself to avoid the conversation until fate stepped in. The 4 of us, we have 2 kids, were in the living room playing with the kids, and our daughter was studying me while I sat on the couch. She turned to my wife and asked, "How come Daddy is sad all of the time?" Hearing that snapped me into reality. If my 7-year-old noticed, well, I had to leave the room, but later that night, we had the talk anyway. My wife knew what was coming, given my seriousness, and she immediately broke down before I hardly said a word, begging me not to divorce her. I honestly don't believe it's manipulation. I don't. She's been devastated by her own actions, and guilt has overwhelmed her at times. She hates herself at times and apologizes so regularly for her affair. But regardless, I shut her down immediately this time and told her to stop. She doesn't get to sob her way out of this conversation. This time, I need to say what I need to say, and she needs to hear me, not just listen, but hear me. She was a bit shocked by how firm I was, but sat back and listened as I basically just read verbatim my last post. To my wife's credit, she didn't interrupt me. She didn't try to interject at all. She listened to everything, cried the entire time, but she listened, and this time, she heard me. She asked if I wanted a divorce, and I said that I was fairly certain that I do, but that we should try a separation for a while so I can get my head straight. It was so awful, just constant crying, sometimes just her, sometimes both of us, but she agreed to stay at her parents' house for a while since it's just minutes from where she works. I'd stay home since it's summer. It'll be much easier with the kids, and they'll just spend some more time with grandma and grandpa. I guess this started 2 nights ago. The kids don't understand, but accept that mom is a grandma and grandpa's for a while. My wife started to bombard me with texts about how much she loves me and always has, very emotional texts. But as hard as it was, I again insisted on minimal contact aside from the kids because I need this. Since then, she's been silent, but it's only been a day. We're going to split time with the kids each week, no dating anyone else of any sort. And we scheduled a check-in every Sunday night, when we plan to exchange the kids to see where we're at with things. I also met with a lawyer, and aside from the house, everything is incredibly straightforward. It seems unless she contests custody, assets will go 50-50ths, given how much we earn. We both have stable jobs and can make everything work, so I'm going to wait a while and see how I adjust. But I'll say this, for the first time since finding out about her affair, I feel free. I felt like I've been in a prison of despair for so long, constantly at odds with this haunting cloud of misery and hopelessness in the day-to-day. And as lonely and quiet as the house has been, I feel a peace that I can't explain. I slept through the night last night for the first time in so long. I woke up with energy for a change, and I feel alive. I actually feel a tiny morsel of hope now, though it hurts a lot. Her affair shattered me, and I'm ashamed that it's taken me 5 years to finally follow through on what my heart has been telling me for so long. I feel empowered and guilty at the same time. Empowered because the chains of her affair aren't holding me down any longer, but guilty because I had to hurt her to achieve it. And I waited so long to listen to myself. It's only been a couple of days, but I won't allow any more of my soul to dissolve away. Sincere thanks to all who helped to get me onto this path. Alone, I might not have had the courage to do it. Best wishes to all of you who have experienced the same awful fate of infidelity. But if I can somehow overcome this after 5 years, so can you.